Hey, what is up, y'all? Michael Hernandez here, MLH Media. We are here today for Combat Weekly, and I'm here sitting alongside the #1 middleweight on the West Coast of the state of California. It's got to be pretty good to hear that for Mr. Bryce De Camargo. I know you've had a long road in your mixed martial arts career. How's it going, my man?
It's going great. It's going fantastic as you seen last night.
Yeah, speaking a little bit about that win over Michael Salazar over there for Hendo's Fight Night on January 24th. Speak about the preparation for that bout. I know it was a light heavyweight bout, correct? Usually fighting at middleweight. Has it just been a little bit of a difficulty to find fights at 185 now?
Yeah, so I was supposed to fight in actually in Maine on February 7th. I was going over to Maine to fight for a belt over there. The guy was 6-0, the guy was supposed to be fighting, and he pulled out on me about a week and a half ago. And then so I
Wow.
just had happened to get a text from the matchmaker at Hendo's like the day before. And so when the guy pulled out on me, I hit that guy up and then I took that fight. So I pretty much this last fight against Salazar, I took that on like maybe 10 days notice.
Was is it got to be a little bit of a difference because I know you fought at 170 in your career. I know you fought at 185. Now fighting at 205. What have you
Yeah, I
felt
haven't
most
fought
comfortable at?
I've never fought 70, but yeah, I was fighting 85.
85. Yes, my
Um
apologies.
Yeah, like the beginning of my career through like most of my fights, even just up until like the last 3 fights or so, I was walking around like 180, fighting 185. So I wasn't cutting any weight at all. I was just like, you know, just walking around at what I was fighting at. But then my body fat percentage was too low and it wasn't really good for like my cardio and my overall like performance and stuff. Now I put on a lot of weight. I'm walking around like 205 now.
Oh, nice, nice.
So this last fight was actually 195. It was like a catch weight.
Oh, okay, yeah, pretty. I mean, pretty close to the light heavyweight limit, but still,
Yeah, yeah.
obviously, a lot more closer to the 185 that you're more well known for. Speaking about your physique, speaking about kind of adapting to that weight class and kind of bulking up to that 185, I noticed that you actually train over there with the training lab with Coach Cal and those guys. How is that to go ahead and get work over there? And and I mean, that's obviously one of the best facilities that we got on this side of the hemisphere on the West Coast. How's that to go ahead and get to be in that kind of area and get to work with all those guys?
Yeah, I mean, that has been an amazing experience. That's kind of like where the entire change came from as far as like my body and like I was fighting like with pretty much no gas tank, just kind of like like running on fumes. Like I didn't really know anything about like the vitamins and the nutrition and all these different things that kind of like lead into your cardio and your overall performance and your overall strength. And yeah, I mean the workouts over there are just they're next level, dude. It's like it's straight up torture, like straight torture. It's a tiny little garage. It's literally like a two-car garage that we work out in, but after those workouts, bro, you're laying on the floor just like fucking just trying to collect your thoughts and stuff.
I've heard he's quite the quite the man that just puts you through the ringer. And speaking a little bit about that, I know he also goes super in depth, like how you were saying about body fat percentage, about the whole 9 yards. He really does a
Mhm.
full in depth kind of like I would say analysis of his athletes. I think like I seen a clip of Armin Tsarukyan getting his hair pulled. Like, have you gone through those type of tests? Like,
Yeah,
how
yeah,
was
yeah.
that kind
So
of getting to experiment with
when I
that?
did
Because
my
I find that so interesting.
yeah, when I had my first meeting with him, we did the hair sample. I did a blood analysis. He'll put you on a machine and get your like your resting metabolic rate or whatever. It tells you how many calories your body burns at rest throughout the day. And
Wow.
then he'll do like a VO2 max test with you. So when I got in there with Coach Cal, like I said, I was 179 pounds and my VO2 max, a good score is like between like 4 and 6. Like 6 is like a high level score. Aaron Pico's operating at like a 10 or 11. He's just like a freak. And then my score when I came in there, I was at a 1.3.
Oh wow.
That
Wait, so
was
Pico's at an 11, you said?
yeah, and I was at a 1.3 when I walked in there.
That man's an absolute freak. Like that's
Yeah,
absolutely insane.
yeah,
Speaking,
it's humbling.
I know you've had this mixed martial arts background for quite some time. You've one of the original guys to kind of train over there at Carlson Gracie OC. I know your father also had long stemming kind of mixed martial arts background. How was it to originally dive into the career of mixed martial arts? Because it's a very, I mean, I would say taxing is one of the best words that you can really use between fights, weight cuts, paying for everything. How has that been really adjusting as a fighter now that you're now looking to kind of put the evening stamps on your amateur career and possibly look to go professional here?
Yeah, so I mean, it's a long story, but I mean, I grew up in a different generation of MMA. When my dad was coaching fighters when I was a kid, California didn't even have legal mixed martial arts. One of the first fights I remember being at as a kid, it was in Santa Barbara. My dad's fighter, Nam Fan, I'm sure you're familiar. He fought in the UFC.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Um,
Nat fam.
he it was in Santa Barbara in like a warehouse. He fought Razor Rob McCullough, and it was actually like they put up like fake film set stuff, and like everybody kind of like the people that are working the show kind of like they wear like fake vests and shit, like it's a film production set, just in case the cops come and raid it, they say like, oh, we're filming a movie. Like that's how they used to get down. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't even legal.
That's
So that's
insane.
like it's just
It's
a
so
totally
crazy
different
to think
era.
now it's like on Paramount and just like so
Uh-huh.
widely available, right?
Uh-huh. So, like, I never really I mean, growing up as a kid, I always loved it. I knew it was something that, like, I had a strong passion for, but my dad always told me, like, over and over again, like, "Don't fight, especially fighting, like, for money." You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not saying you shouldn't expect to get money out of a fighting career, but if you're depending on fighting as, like, your only monetary, like, option, like, I'm not saying it's not gonna work. Some people take that gamble and it works, but there's a lot of factors out of your control. Like, you could get an injury that is, career altering injury or like, something could happen. Like, there's things that you can't necessarily control. And so you don't want to end up, I've seen it a bunch of times, you don't want to be the fighter that's 35, fucking your body's breaking down, you haven't gone where you want to in your career, you have nothing to show for it, and you kind of end up like kind of fucked. So it's like I never wanted that to be me. So I didn't start fighting. I didn't take my first fight until I was 28. So the reason for that was, I went to college, I was wrestling in college, and then I took a few years to kind of like develop a financial base under me. And I got some business things going that are successful, that are able to operate without me like there all day, every day. So it kind of freed up the time to actually like pursue this and do it full stop, which, like, it's helped me a lot as well having my own, like, income source and not being, like, your everyday broke fighter just because 'cause I've been able to, like, keep up the activity, like, I'm traveling around, taking fights and, like, paying for my coaches, paying for me, paying for my rooms, like, some promotions have paid for this stuff, but a lot don't. Like, I like, the fight last night, you know what I mean? Like, I delivered a highlight reel shows stunning knockout and I'm sure they made a bunch of money off of it as far as like everybody's going crazy getting drinks and like you know what I mean. I'm not saying they made a shitload of money, but like me personally, like, I paid $400 for my hotel, drove out there, did all this shit for not for free, you know what I'm saying?
Just for exposure, and that's why I always
Yeah.
tell all these people that, like, watch from the outside looking in because they always think it's such a glamorous lifestyle these amateur fighters live, and I try to tell them, like, "Dude, I've gone to cover events and literally slept in my car, like, in a hotel parking lot that I thought, like, 'Oh, man, this is bougie, I'll be safe.' So, I can only imagine the stories that fighters have, you know what I'm saying? And so that just goes to show the passion and how much you carry the love for the sport. Speaking a little bit more about that knockout, I know you have gotten to work, like how we said, with a lot of the kind of who's who of the Orange County MMA area. One of those guys being Mr. Joe Schilling over there. How has that been to kind of work on your Muay Thai with, I mean, I would say arguably one of the kind of best names over there down in Southern California, man. I mean,
Yeah,
obviously showed
Joe.
right, put proof in the pudding.
Yeah, I mean, aside from my main head coach, Brady Fink, like he's the one that's put the most time into me. Like he's my corner in all my fights. And like for the MMA shit, he's the one that puts it all together. But Joe has been like my secret weapon, bro. Like as far as like the super advanced level, like technical aspects. Like his coaching style, he's like super strict and like super on point, like technically wise. which you don't get from a lot of people. Like, you go into your average Muay Thai gym, like you hit pads a few times, like, oh yeah, this is good. Like, nah, bro. Like when you train with Joe, like he'll like I thought I was decent. I would spar like I was training already, I was sparring and shit, and like I would pretty much win. Like at most places I would go spar. And then like I went in for a private with Joe Schilling, and he's like, "Bro, like you don't know shit." Like not even like he had to change the way that I stand, like the way that I fucking like just hold my hand, like everything, you know what I mean? Like he'll pretty much break you down to like, the very basic level. Like he'll spend 30 minutes an hour like fixing the way you're standing and moving before even, trying to think about teaching you a punch or a combo. Like a combo, like you're not gonna like it's a few sessions before you're even like he's like, "Alright, cool, your jab is good." Like, "Alright, let's work on the right hand." Like, you're not gonna go into train with Joe Schilling and do fucking you're doing like 5, 6 move combos by the end of the session. Like, that's just not how it's gonna work. He's like very slow and methodical and strict with the way that he coaches. So like when I went in there, like I said, I didn't even know how to necessarily stand correctly. And then now
It's
we're at where we are, you know?
It's like, when a deer is, like, first learning how to walk, and, like, they're like, you
Yeah,
had
for
to relearn
sure.
how to walk, kinda, so to speak, with Joe Schilling. It's definitely, meeting I've only met Joe on one occasion. He probably doesn't even remember it, but still, very, very intimidating presence to be around. So I can only imagine being in the room
He's
with him and him
scary as hell,
and
just
him
like he's the
and him
nicest
telling me
guy
my
too.
Muay Thai sucks or my stand-up sucks. I'd be like, "Man, like, I feel so demeaned, dude." But no, I like how you say, very nice gentleman, but definitely
Even
very,
not this last
intimidating.
one. This last one, he liked it, but the one before that, I put on like a great performance in my opinion. I said in the video, he's like, "Bro, you suck. The other guy just sucks worse." So I'm like, "Oh fuck!"
Oh.
Like he's hard to impress.
Hey man, that's always a great coach. That's always a great role model to have. But speaking a little bit more about, I love the position you're in the MMA sphere because I believe you're like in one of the most interesting spaces. If you kind of don't mind me talking about it, I know you're the owner, kind of like main operator over there for Up the Hill Exclusive, and then obviously still embarking into the MMA career. And I find that so interesting because you're kind of seeing MMA and marijuana brands starting to kind of be more synonymous with each other. We've seen Cage Warriors get sponsored by Patty the Baddies marijuana brand, and then now we're seeing UFC BJJ. They got the Puffco sponsorship. You're starting to slowly see these marijuana brands kind of being involved in mixed martial arts. What's your
Yeah, I
opinion on that
mean,
as somebody that's kind of involved in both of those spaces?
so the two industries are very much like sort of intertwined, like culturally, like fighters, like they're kind of wild people. So it kind of like translates into like the hustling attitude and like the weed game and stuff, but I think I do a pretty good job like keeping the two things kind of separate. Like I mean, like even like my personal Instagram that I'm building like my fight audience on, like I don't like I got way more followers on like my weed brand stuff, and it's like I don't really try to intermingle the two things. I'm trying to like build them up separately. And then also Coach Cal's drawn like a very like concerted line in the sand for me as far as like what he supports and like being on his team and representing the training lab, so I'm not trying to be in any way like the weed brand fighter guy. Like I try to keep the two things separate. I mean, the weed brand's brought me like, some beautiful things in my life, financial stability, and like I love that aspect of like building that. But then the fighting thing is just kind of like its own separate world.
Yeah.
Like
And I never thought about that.
the general lifestyle, bro, for like someone who consumes that much weed, like, as far as how deep I am in the industry, like your average, like, peer that I have in the industry, like, that it's not a suitable lifestyle to also be, like, pursuing martial arts at the highest level and trying to, like, really perform, you know what I'm saying? So they're 2 different aspects, you know?
No, it's very interesting. I never thought about like how you said the hustling mindset and like kind of the mixed martial arts mindset because like how you said those two intertwine in so many ways, and you don't really think about it when you're just somebody that's seeing the branding on a cage marker or seeing the branding on the side of a cage like a dispensary is sponsoring a certain fight night.
Well, it's
So
like, bro,
definitely very interesting.
if you're an up and coming MMA fighter and, like, you need to make a little money, like, you know what I mean? The weed game's like a low barrier to entry. Like, you don't need to go get a bunch of permits and do all this stuff. So it's like, you know what I mean? These young
And
up
look,
and coming fighters, a lot of them are hustling. They got their own thing going on. And I think behind the scenes, the weed game is something that has fueled quite a few good fighters.
No, 100%. And that's something that's very interesting that I think a lot of fans will take a lot of interest in as well. Speaking more about the mixed martial arts career for the man over here, Bryce De Camargo, #1 middleweight in the state of California, not only in the state of
North
California, but
America,
on the West Coast,
continent,
North America. I was getting there, my brother. I was getting there. I
continent,
was trying to hype it up. I was trying to Bruce Buffer that bad boy up. But I gotta know when's it coming next, man? I know you just fought 24th. I know you like to take a little bit of time off. But is there any chance we're possibly going to see you make that trip over there to Maine for their next card? Or you going to take a little bit of break, probably
No, I
go down
mean,
another road?
the guy in Maine pulled out on me, so I'm over that. Like, if someone pulls out on me, like, I'm over it. Like, I'm not gonna.
It's like an ex-girlfriend, you know, you just got to leave them behind.
I've seen instances where like someone pulls out, they reschedule it, and the guy pulls out again. I mean, I've even seen like not like close teammates that I like personally fighting with all the time, but people that I train alongside. Like I've seen people do weird shit, bro. So as soon as I get like you pull out on me one time, like on to the next one, bro. Like I'm not gonna waste my time trying to like chase these matchups. Cause I mean, I don't know, I'm not talking shit, but look at a lot of these amateur guys, bro. Like this is amateur fighting. This is about getting experience and like, you know what I mean, building yourself up to be successful. And like these guys fight once a year, twice a year. Like, what the fuck type of schedule is that, bro? That's not even gonna fly for like a pro career. So how are you an amateur and you're like getting experience level and you're like protecting your record, not taking any hard fights, fighting a bunch of pussies, fighting only once or twice a year? Like, that's not gonna cut it, bro. And
No,
it's like,
100%.
I mean, it is what it is. Like, I even have a few losses on my record, but if you look at like I'm ranked #1 in the continent, and there's a bunch of dudes under me that are maybe 5-0 or 6-0, like 7-1. Like they have like a better like record just looking at it, like without digging into it. But then you look at their record, and they're fighting dudes that are like 1-1 and are losing records, or they fight on one promotion and they never travel. Or like they fucking there's 5-0, but they've been fighting amateur for 3 years. It's like, bro, you had 5 fights in 3 years, like, you know what I mean? So I had 10 fights in 14 months.
That's what I
So
was about to say. You've been extremely active in your amateur MMA career. You've just
that's how
been
you do it,
pumping
bro.
out these
Like
fights.
for amateur, that's how you do it. Like, and I mean, I think that's why I'm ranked where I'm ranked, and I think that's why I have like, you know, the hype on it that I do because, you know, I'm willing to like step in there and be active.
Be active is I think that should be the new middle name the new middle name, new nickname or something. Bryce is staying active, De Camargo. But just this closing segment here, Bryce, before I let you off here, before I let you enjoy the rest of your Sunday, enjoy the spoils of being a victor, you know,
Yes,
because you
sir.
didn't
Yes,
get to
sir.
probably enjoy it too much last night, but I'll let you enjoy the rest of this Sunday. Anybody that you want to thank? I know you have a lot of people that you work with, the Yard Muay Thai, Carlson Gracie OC, training lab. I know there's probably people I'm missing, so I just want to go ahead and give you the floor, give you that time to go ahead and thank whoever you want
The
to thank.
#1 person is like my head coach, Brady Fink. I mean, he's the shit, bro. I've known him since I was like 5 years old, maybe. My dad was actually his first jujitsu coach. So when he was like a young kid, he came into the gym like in high school, and my dad was his first coach. So we have like a special relationship, and I feel like he's like one of the unsung heroes of like the Orange County like fighting game. You know, he was in Rampage's corner in Pride. You know, he coached Michael Bisping throughout a huge portion of his UFC run, all the way through the title. And so, I mean, and he's just such a high level coach, like the details and everything. Like this last fight, that exact uppercut that I caught him with, he was telling me to hit it like 10 times in the back, telling me exactly to do that exact fucking move. And then if you watch like one of the films, you could hear him coaching in the corner. And like as he's literally saying like, "Oh, there it is right there." And then like as he's saying it, I'm like already making the same calculation he made, and I'm like throwing it at the exact second that he's like, so we're like fully in sync. Like it just you can't really find relationships like that, like without them just naturally kind of building on their own.
No, 100%. It's like a like almost like a father-son, kind of uncle to his nephew type of relationship, I would like to say, you know, obviously
Yeah,
because having the connection
100%,
with your father.
100%.
That's awesome, man. Well, I will let you go here, Bryce. It was an awesome pleasure getting to speak to you after your victory. I cannot wait to see what the rest of your MMA career has in store for you. By the way, fight fans, I just want you guys all to know I was at Bryce De Camargo's first ever mixed martial arts fight over there in San Luis Obispo as a low
Oh
and broke
man, I
college
got
student.
hosed.
And
I got
absolute
hosed on that one. I'm still upset,
absolutely
bro.
crazy fight. I was probably the craziest fight I've ever seen go down over there in the 805 when I was watching fights over there. So if you guys ever, I don't even know if that fight's on YouTube, man, but if that fight
No,
is up on
bro.
YouTube,
Here, let me tell you a story about that one. All right. So that one, very controversial, obviously. The
split
promoter told
decision.
me I won. Everybody, I had legit like 20 to 30 people come up and be like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I saw that happen. You totally won that fight." And it's like I had other fighters on the card tell me I won that fight. So I'm like, all right, the dude's gym was 5 minutes away from the venue. The whole crowd was like, was literally his gym was the whole crowd. Like I was walking out and nobody was cheering. I was like, oh, it's kind of weird. Then he walked out and fucking, bro, the whole shit's erupting. I'm like, all right, this is what this is. All right. And fucking, so they had a professional cameraman there, supposedly. I need to find his name because it's kind of dirty the way he did me, but so, it's 2-minute rounds, so 3 2-minute rounds. This is 6 minutes of recording. This is your job to record 6 minutes. I get the footage from him after. So in the first round, as soon as I take him down, the footage shuts off for like 45 seconds, and then just the last of the first rounds there, which I won by a lot. And then the second round, which is the round I lost, he has every single second of the second round films, like the whole 2 minutes. And then the third round, which I won, there's like a minute of it, and then it cuts off for like a minute and a half. So he's got like 40 seconds to the first round, 40 seconds to the third round, and then the whole second round that I lost. Because my coach was like, bro, like we need to send the footage to Camo, and at the minimum, they'll make it like a no contest. You know, they're not gonna reverse it and be like, oh, give you a win. But it
Yeah.
was so blatant. It was like this was an obvious no contest. But then I get the footage from him, and there's a bunch of missing things. He's like, "Oh, sorry, I had to keep adjusting my camera. So whenever you guys went to the ground, like I had to turn it off and reset it." I'm like, "Bro, like I could film on a fucking 2010 iPhone for fucking 6 minutes straight. Like, what are you talking
That's what
about,
I
bro?"
was gonna say. I was like, I don't think it requires the whole
But
camera,
how are
but
you a
no, that is
professional cameraman working a fucking event and you can't fucking keep it together for 6 minutes at a time? Like,
it's a
so I
main
don't know.
event too.
The whole situation seemed like a fucking scam. Like, I don't know. I mean, that shit is janky. The amateur shit's janky, bro. There's no accountability for like something like that. You know what I mean?
No, and I'm glad you're telling stories like that, man, because there's a lot of times where people just think like, "Oh yeah, it's like the UFC for these amateurs." I'm like, "No, it's not. Like these guys are getting judged by guys that are I'm
Bro,
not
the
trying to say
last
purple
card I
belts,
was
brown
at,
belts."
this card last night, bro, there was one fight where one of the judges had it 30-27 for one guy. And then the other judge had it 30-27 for the other guy. And then the third judge had it 29-28 for one of the guys. So it's like, bro, so three people sitting right next to each other all saw three completely different fights. It's like, oh my God, dude.
That's why I don't get the 30-27s going to like one side and then going to another.
How
I'm
do
like,
you, how?
that means that you looked at the fight and said that that guy won 3 rounds without a doubt. And then the
Yeah,
other
how do
guy
two
thinks that the
people
other
with
guy
the
won.
same training sitting right next to each other see two different fights?
And
But
that's why I tell people, I'm like, with amateurs, it's like, just as much as the fighters are amateur, like, I don't mean it as a disrespect to the judges, but the judges are amateurs as well. Like, they do not have the professional experience. They have never been in the shoes of calling the big fight. So I always say, like, dude, if you're an amateur fighter and you're going to the judges' scorecards, like, you better
good
hope that
luck,
you put
dude.
up a performance that, like, was just without a doubt a win. Because if
Yeah,
not, it's
100%.
it's not always 100% guarantee you won, And so
Yeah,
I'm
for
glad you're
sure.
sharing those stories, but it was an absolute pleasure to get to have you on the program here today, Bryce. Michael Hernandez, MLH Media, signing out over here for Combat Weekly with my man, Bryce De Camargo.